The Nordic model, we don't put South Africa, but I know a lot of my colleagues, South Korea, but a lot of my colleagues do. So if you could just explain to us the system in South Korea.
Good afternoon. I'm working for National Solidarity Against Sexual Exploitation of Women. We are a coalition of 13 regional organizations working to end prostitution and support women in prostitution. We also work closely with the Moongchi survival network. Today, 4 of us, including Moongchi activists, have come from Korea. So I will introduce my members. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of the equality model in France. Our member organizations offer counseling centers, shelters, and access support programs, and we are joined by about 200 activists. Through this work, we meet women in prostitution directly, support their daily lives, and work with them in their effort to exit exploitations. At the national level, we organize campaigns and advocate for legal and policy reforms to challenge the structures that sustain sexual exploitation. We support the equality model because we believe prostitution is violence against women, and women in prostitution should be protected and supported, not punished. To understand prostitution in Korea, we must look at our history. The system was shaped by colonial rule and state-led economic development. Even after regulations, prostitution was not examination, but reorganized and tolerated by the state. It was allowed around U.S. military bases and also expanded through tourism policies targeting Japanese men. In many ways, the state did not simply ignore prostitution, but actively enabled and managed it. As a result, prostitution expanded greatly. Even today, although it is illegal, it remains widespread and easily accessible. It is reported that 50% of men have experienced buying sex. In 2000 and 2002, 2 brothel fires killed 19 women who had been locked inside. This tragedy shocked Korean society. After this event, people began to understand prostitution not as a moral issue, but as violence against women. At the same time, another question emerged: who is responsible for this violence? Our movement began by demanding state accountability. Survivors of the brothel fires filed a lawsuit, and the court recognized the responsibility of the state. Women in prostitution around the U.S. military bases also filed lawsuits against the government. The central issue in these cases was the first venereal disease examinations imposed on them. These examinations were not simply medical procedures. They were form of state control over women's bodies carried out within system that prioritized management of prostitution over the rights of the women themselves. We won these cases as well. Today, we are pursuing a new lawsuit to hold the United States military accountability for its role in sexual exploitation around the bases. We believe these cases can bring hope and courage to survivors around the world. In 2004, Korea adopted new law addressing prostitution. While it produced support systems, it still allowed punishment of women in prostitution. The new law distinguished between women in prostitution who are seen as coerced and those considered voluntary, punishing the latter. We had hoped that no women would be punished, but unfortunately, we were not successful. For the past 20 years, we have continued to meet women in prostitution and support them. Through this work, we have seen clearly that punishment only deepens their vulnerability. That is why we continue to call for an equality model that does not punish all women. However, the situation remains difficult. Many people still see prostitution as a personal choice or individual failure. Victim blaming is widespread. Because women in prostitution still be punished, they are often excluded from protection. Women in prostitution are among the most vulnerable to gender-based violence. Without protecting them, we cannot truly address violence against women. Survivors and activists in Korea are calling strongly for the equality model, but achieving this change is not easy through our effort alone. That is why being here today gives us great strength, and equality models are already in place in many countries, and seeing your solidarity gives hope and encouragement to activists and survivors in Korea. Congratulations on the 10th anniversary of the equality model in France. We hope that next time we meet, we will celebrate its adoption in Korea. Thank you.